Dear Mr. President, save us. We do not have to become best of friends. With this letter I attempt merely to develop respect for myself. My letter is about peace, because we are heading towards war. Innumerable false records of language have already reclaimed far too long that word, peace. Peace still exists, hidden deeply inside all of us. We have never really practiced peace. From an early age we cured ourselves of peace. There is no budget for peace. Arms dealers are ruling the world. But still peace is present in us, and she is most precious of all. Many people in the Middle East claim to have the answers, but do not know what the questions are. Please go and find the correct questions. We live in a time which is probably unique in world history. This old world of ours floats on the verge of nuclear war with its hotbed Israel and the problems of the Palestinian question. Will the total denial of all social and moral values lead to a monstrous unleashing of powers which we of the whole world will not be able to keep in hand? Are we going to, within the foreseeable future, allow our instincts to take the upper hand out of despair and lethargy over the hopelessness of this eternally exploding powder keg? Are we going to stand by passively watching while innumerable lives go up in flames? Is it really impossible for us to disentangle ourselves from this situation of conscious chaos? Is the message of Geert Wilders correct when he calls the Islam a political ideology and not a religion? Is another view possible which isn't so one-sided or dehumanized? In 1993, Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat shook hands on the lawn in front of the White House with a false cheerfulness and belief that Jews and Muslims can live together on a narrow strip of land, not in faultless justice but without bloodshed. Now that the Oslo Treaty has proven to be unsuccessful, after the continuing and growing violence of the Intifadas and after this tribal war of more than 2,000 years old, I advocate the necessity of a truly serious and durable ceasefire between Jews and Arabs. There was a time when this was possible. The book of Genesis speaks of the reunion of two brothers who had become estranged. Isaac, father of the Jewish people, and Ishmael, father of the people of Abu Hamad, met each other to bury Abraham, their father, the father of us all. Philosophy of death brought them closer together. Aren't we, after all, equal on the field of death? We need at least 3 generations to overcome the enormous traumas which have been slammed deeply into the spirits of the battling parties. Thus we are in need of a 100-year-long period of peace. Perhaps we stand a good chance of having a situation of peace in 2110, which is longer lasting than what we have had up until now. The situation where Arabs kill Jews and Jews are killing Arabs has to stop. It is a beautiful dream. Everything is better than this nightmare. Mr. President, there is nothing that stops me from entering into your brain, not only from the front, but from the backside as well. A truce of 100 years is what I request. Maybe this seems like a utopia, but is ever so realistic. My dream will cause the Western air balloon to burst at first, the balloon of deeming highly of its own superiority. How about the history of the conflict? At the end of World War I, the Europeans sowed the seeds for the Palestinian dilemma in a rather clumsy way. Wouldn't a confession of guilt be a boost? Will this confession of guilt somewhat later be a guide in the rebuilding of the Palestinian society? Money, lots of money will be needed later on. Europe, take your responsibility for the neo-colonial mess which eventually led to the founding of the state Israel in 1948. I believe wholeheartedly in the doctrine of Solutionism, the national religion in the United States, which holds the belief that there is a solution for every problem, even a tenacious one. The USA is in fact the only country in the world that has used nuclear weapons against another country, in Japan, Hiroshima. I admit that there were very specific circumstances then. The USA has a moral responsibility to prevent any new nuclear war incident that without a doubt will lead to a massive massacre. We need to do everything we can to prevent that either Israel or Iran, or even a bunch of terrorists that have gone astray, react to another violent incident in Palestine and start hurling atom bombs. The time bomb of this conflict needs to be professionally dismantled. Let's start to communicate again, even after having wasted billions of words on the Palestinian matter, but not on the pretext of which party has a thorough and superior command of the language of brutal violence. Who will take action most thoroughly in the name of self-willed and pure justice? On both sides, one is scrambling whoever is most fundamental in terms of utilizing a deity-defying violence in its most absurd and bloodthirsty form. Ask the parties to sit down at a negotiation table with the following wise but truthful words: the other side longs for peace as much as you do. The bodies of the Israeli reservists who fell victim to a bloodthirsty crowd in Ramallah that rubbed the blood of the victims over their hands became a gruesome scene in front of the cameras and spoke for itself, just as the pictures in the morgue of the bluish bodies of Palestinian children, whose jaws, hands or feet were ripped away after one of the numerous attacks with Israeli rockets. So many innocents, children and civilians, murdered on both sides. Each culture or ideology does recognize one important moral proverb: do unto others as you would they should do unto you. Whoever is not able or doesn't want to accept this law doesn't deserve a place at any negotiation table for peace. It's no use to play games any longer. Taqiyya, to disavow one's own Islamic belief, the hiding of one's real conviction for the sake of one's own political advantage, this will become transparent. Just as menefregismo, the skill of not giving a damn about anything. As of today, only those who are really interested in peace are welcome. To make peace is looking for the correct questions. Reconciliation asks for peace offerings. If you can repeat what the other has said, you have listened to him. Let everyone speak freely without any discussion. We have disagreed enough at the expense of so much blood. Instead of the culture of the violent death, the time has come for a culture of peace, of life. It will cost blood, sweat and tears, but this has to happen right now. To achieve not to become friends with each other, but finally doing justice to the widespread idea of a peaceful coexistence. Solutions? Don't just choose for the solution of two states with the West Bank and Gaza for the Palestinians, but bomb Jerusalem so it can be rebuilt into a neutralized site of pilgrimage for Muslims, Jews, Christians, that exists under the auspices of the United Nations. A religious enclave for all denominations. During the 100 years, one has a lot to learn from each other, especially in the field of morality. Violence is wicked, and what nowadays is happening before the eye of God, the only one, is impudent and immoral. So man will see the error of his ways. Once I heard an old Indian speak about the tradition of his tribe. When someone has a problem, he takes a stone, a heavy one, and puts it in his pocket. He drags it with him until he has solved the problem. So afterwards he puts the stone away and continues on his life path with a renewed lightness. I wish you wisdom. Best kind regards, Part 2. Philosopher and writer, Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Thank you very much.